I don't think people understand just how fascinating their own minds are. But enough about that. We're diving deep into the wacky world of your brain. That's right, we're talking psychology. But don't worry, there won't be a pop quiz at the end. We're going to unravel 20 mind-blowing facts that will have you looking at yourself and everyone around you like, whoa, is that what's going on in there? So buckle up, grab your thinking caps, or maybe a helmet, just in case, and get ready for a wild ride through the fascinating world of human behavior. All right, first up, we got the halo effect. Ever notice how someone ridiculously good-looking can get away with almost anything? Like they could trip and spill coffee on you, and you'd probably apologize to them? Yeah, that's the halo effect in action. Our brains are kinda lazy, right? So when we see someone attractive, we automatically assume they're also smart, funny, and charming. It's like our brains saying, they look good, they must be good. It's totally unfair, but hey, that's life. This effect doesn't just work with looks. It can be anything positive, like someone being famous or successful. So next time you meet someone new, try to look past the surface and see the real them. Halo or no halo. Next up, we got cognitive dissonance. It's that uncomfortable feeling when your actions and beliefs don't line up, like being an environmentalist who loves driving a gas-guzzling car. You can change your behavior or convince yourself it doesn't matter. Often, we stick with our existing beliefs, even if flawed. All right, now let's talk about the bystander effect. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see someone who needs help. Maybe they've fallen or something. Now you'd think the more people around, the more likely someone would jump in and help, right? Well, here's the messed up part. Studies have shown that the more bystanders there are, the less likely anyone is to help. This is called the diffusion of responsibility. We kinda pass the buck, hoping someone else will step up. So next time you see someone in need, don't be a bystander. Be the hero, even if it feels awkward. You might just save the day. Now, confirmation bias. Ever notice how people seek out information that confirms what they already believe? Like, if you're convinced the Earth is flat, you'll spend time on flat Earth websites. That's confirmation bias in action. We ignore evidence that contradicts our beliefs. Next up, the placebo effect. You know how sometimes just thinking something will work can actually make it work? Like if you believe you're taking a powerful painkiller, you might actually feel less pain, even if it's just a sugar pill. That's the placebo effect, folks. Our brains are so powerful that they can actually trick our bodies into feeling better, just because we expect to feel better. It's like the ultimate mind over matter situation. Now, this doesn't mean you should ditch your meds and start popping Skittles every time you get a headache, but it does show the incredible power of our minds and the importance of positive thinking. Social loafing. Ever notice how in a group project, there's always that one person who just coasts along, letting everyone else do the work? Yeah, that's social loafing. It's the tendency for people to put in less effort when they're part of a group, especially when individual contributions aren't easily identifiable. It's like our brains go, someone else will take care of it. So next time you're in a group project, make sure everyone's got clear roles and responsibilities. And if you see someone slacking off, give them a little nudge, for the sake of the team. Okay, get ready for the Pygmalion effect, also known as the self-fulfilling prophecy. Basically, it means that our expectations of others can actually influence their behavior. Like, if a teacher believes a student is gifted, they might give that student more attention and encouragement, which can lead to the student actually performing better. It's like the teacher's belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But here's the catch. It works both ways. If a teacher has low expectations of a student, that student might internalize those expectations and perform poorly, even if they're capable of more. So the lesson here is, believe in yourself and surround yourself with people who believe in you too. Alright, let's talk about the spotlight effect. Ever have one of those days where you feel like everyone's staring at you, judging your every move? Like you spill coffee on yourself and you're convinced everyone in the coffee shop is thinking, wow, they're a mess. Yeah, that's the spotlight effect in action. It's the tendency to overestimate how much other people notice our appearance and behavior. The truth is, most people are so caught up in their own heads, they're barely paying attention to you. So next time you feel the spotlight burning down on you, just remember, it's all in your head. Get ready for the Dunning-Kruger effect. Ever notice how some people are so confident even when they're clearly in over their heads? Like that guy at karaoke who thinks he's Freddie Mercury but can't carry a tune. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Unskilled individuals overestimate their abilities, while skilled ones underestimate. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. The Barnum effect. This one's all about how easily we can be fooled by vague personality descriptions. You know those personality quizzes you see online? The ones that promise to reveal your deepest secrets based on your favorite color and spirit animal? Yeah, those are basically capitalizing on the Barnum effect. It's the tendency for people to perceive vague general statements as highly accurate and personally meaningful, even if those statements could apply to almost anyone. So next time you come across a personality description that seems eerily accurate, remember, it's probably just a bunch of Barnum statements designed to appeal to a wide audience. Next up, the Zeigarnik effect. Ever notice how you can remember an unfinished task way more easily than a completed one? Like that nagging feeling that you forgot to do something, but you can't quite put your finger on it. That's the Zeigarnik effect in action. Our brains are wired to remember incomplete tasks because they create a state of tension that we're driven to resolve. It's like our brains hate loose ends. So next time you're struggling to remember something, try thinking about whether it's something you started but didn't finish. Now we have the pratfall effect. When someone seemingly perfect makes a mistake, it can make them more likable. They trip, spill coffee, and suddenly seem more human, more relatable. That's the pratfall effect. If seen as competent, a blunder makes them approachable. But if seen as incompetent, it confirms negative perceptions. So next time you make a fool of yourself, it might make you more endearing. Now it's time for the anchoring effect. Ever notice how the first piece of information you receive about something can really sway your judgment, even if it's totally irrelevant? Like, if you're negotiating a salary and your potential employer throws out a ridiculously high number first, you're more likely to agree to a higher salary, even if it's still lower than what they initially offered. That's the anchoring effect in action. Our brains latch onto that first piece of information, that anchor, and use it as a reference point for all subsequent judgments. So next time you're negotiating a price, make sure you're the one who throws out the first number. It's a classic negotiation tactic. The false consensus effect. Ever notice how you assume everyone else sees the world the same way you do? Like, if you love pineapple on pizza, you probably assume everyone else does too, right? Wrong. That's the false consensus effect in action. It's the tendency to overestimate the extent to which others share our beliefs, values, and behaviors. We tend to surround ourselves with people who are like us, which can create this illusion of consensus. So next time you're convinced everyone agrees with you, just remember, they probably don't. Now for the backfire effect. When presented with evidence that contradicts their beliefs, people often become more entrenched, like convincing your conspiracy theorist uncle the Earth is round. That's the backfire effect. Strengthening beliefs when faced with contradicting evidence. Avoid direct confrontation, build relationships, and find common ground. Alright, let's talk about the IKEA effect. Ever notice how you tend to place a higher value on things you've built or created yourself, even if they're not exactly masterpieces, like that wobbly bookshelf you managed to assemble from IKEA instructions? You probably cherish it more than a perfectly crafted one you bought pre-assembled. That's the IKEA effect in action. It's the tendency for people to place a disproportionately high value on objects that they partially assembled themselves, regardless of the quality of the end result. It's like our brains equate effort with value. So next time you're feeling crafty, embrace the IKEA effect and create something yourself. Okay, get ready for the paradox of choice. You'd think that having more choices would be a good thing, right? More options, more freedom, more happiness. Well, not so fast. Studies have shown that having too many choices can actually lead to paralysis, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Think about it. Have you ever stood in the cereal aisle, overwhelmed by the sheer number of options, only to walk away empty-handed? That's the paradox of choice in action. When we're faced with too many options, our brains become overloaded, making it difficult to make a decision. So next time you're feeling overwhelmed by choice, try limiting your options. Alright, let's talk about the endowment effect. Ever notice how you're more likely to ask for a higher price for something you're selling than you'd be willing to pay for it yourself? Like that old sweater you haven't worn in years? You might list it on eBay for way more than it's actually worth, just because you own it. That's the endowment effect in action. It's the tendency for people to ascribe more value to things merely because they own them. It's like ownership creates this emotional attachment that inflates the perceived value. So next time you're buying or selling something, remember the endowment effect and try to be objective about its true worth. Okay, get ready for the framing effect. Ever notice how you're more likely to buy something if it's advertised as 90% fat-free than if it's advertised as 10% fat? It's the same product, just framed differently. That's the framing effect in action. It's the tendency for people to react differently to the same information, depending on how it is presented or framed. Our brains are wired to respond to positive framing more favorably than negative framing, even if the underlying information is identical. So next time you're making a decision, pay attention to how the information is being presented. And last but not least, we have the sunk cost fallacy. Ever stick with something bad just because you've invested so much into it? Like a relationship that's run its course, or a job you hate but can't quit? That's the sunk cost fallacy. We keep investing, fearing wasted resources. Remember it and make the rational choice. And there you have it, folks. 20 mind-blowing psychology facts that will have you looking at yourself and everyone around you in a whole new light. Who knew our brains were capable of such shenanigans, right? But hey, that's the beauty of psychology. It helps us understand why we do the things we do, even the seemingly irrational stuff. So next time you catch yourself falling for one of these psychological quirks, don't beat yourself up about it. Please like and subscribe to the channel to continue the journey of unraveling the human mind, and don't forget to leave your opinion about these facts in the comment section below.